Hi there, Alison here with another Cab Franc du jour. Today's wine is taking us to Saumur, and we're looking at the Louis de Grenelle, Blanc de Noir, Crémant de Loire, extra Brut. Founded in 1859, Louis de Grenelle is one of the last family-owned sparkling wine houses in Saumur. Today, it is sister and brother Françoise Flao and Antoine Bodet that are continuing the work that their father Hubert Bodet began in 1976. They're farming 40 hectares of vines, of which 23 hectares are Cabernet Franc, and they're also sourcing from grower partners from across the Anjou-Saumur region to produce their diverse range of traditional method sparkling wines. And they're also making Saumur Blanc and Saumur Rouge from their parcels at the family estate Château de la Durandière. Their maitre de chez, Guillaume Poitevin, has been with the estate since 2006. And today, we're looking at their Blanc de Noir, which is a Crémant de Loire made from 100% Cabernet Franc. Now, it's been some time since I have featured a Cabernet Franc sparkling wine from the Loire Valley. So I want to take a moment to provide a little bit of an overview of this category because it represents an important part of Loire Valley wines, both historically and also in terms of production. Now, with a climate very similar to Champagne and miles of two-fold caves that have been dug out over centuries beneath the village of Saumur, caves that have the ideal climatic conditions for the production and storage of traditional method sparkling wines. It was Jean-Baptiste Ackermann who is credited with producing the first traditional method sparkling wine in the Loire Valley back in 1811. Today, sparkling wine accounts for 20% of the Loire Valley wine region's production. And in terms of Cabernet Franc, there are two main categories or appellations that represent a combined 79% of the sparkling wine production from the Loire Valley. And these are Crémant de Loire and also Saumur Mousseux or Saumur Fine Bulle. Crémant de Loire accounts for around 55% of the sparkling wine production in the Loire Valley, and it is the second largest Crémant appellation in France after Crémant d'Alsace. The production for Crémant de Loire is centralized in the regions of Touraine and Anjou-Saumur, and the principal grape varieties are Chenin Blanc for the whites and Cabernet Franc for the rosés, and Crémant de Loire Rosé accounts for around 15% of the appellation's production. Now, Saumur Mousseux or Saumur Fine Bulle, this accounts for around 24% of the Loire Valley sparkling wine production, and it actually represents an impressive 68% of the production of the Saumur AOP. Now, the principal grape varieties for Saumur Mousseux are the same, so Chenin Blanc for the whites and Cabernet Franc is the principal variety for rosés, and rosé production accounts for around 10% of the Saumur Mousseux production. Now, Crémant de Loire and Saumur Mousseux are traditional method sparkling wines, so that means that the secondary fermentation that produces the effervescence happens inside the bottle, just like Champagne. And the production for these two appellations is very similar, with some slight differences in terms of yield as well as time on lees. So Crémant de Loire, the minimum time on lees is 12 months, and for Saumur Mousseux, it is 9 months on lees. Now, today's wine is a Crémant de Loire, and it's coming from parcels in the commune of Montreuil-Bellay. And this is a commune I covered at length in a video earlier this year, actually featuring the wine Clos Durandière, which is made by Etienne Bodet, Antoine Bodet's son. So I won't go into the same level of detail, but I do want to highlight some of the key concepts, at least with regards to sparkling wine production. So first and foremost, because Montreuil-Bellay is set back from the Loire River, it's about 15 kilometers south of the village of Saumur, so south of the Loire River. Climatically speaking, there is less of a moderating influence from the Loire River. And that means that bud break happens here a little bit earlier, and the growing season overall is cooler and it is a little bit shorter, particularly compared to the communes that are very close to the Loire River in the appellation of saumur-champigny. Now, this cooler and shorter growing season favors sparkling wine production, particularly with Cabernet Franc, because we do not need to achieve full phenolic maturity of the grapes. Now, in addition to this, we have to talk about soils. So here in Montreuil-Bellay, we find the presence of the Montreuil-Bellay fault, which stretches around 150 kilometers across this area. And because of the tectonic activity that is taking place here over the course of hundreds of millions of years, this has exposed a very complex patchwork of soils in Montreuil-Bellay. Now, what is notable, particularly from a sparkling wine perspective, is the presence of several different kinds of Jurassic era limestones. These Jurassic limestones are harder and denser than the Turonian tuffeau chalk that dominates the other Cabernet Franc appellations of the Central Loire. The properties of this limestone mean that this is a cooler terroir overall. And again, this favors sparkling wine production, particularly for Cabernet Franc. So this wine is coming from around 2 hectares of 30-year-old vines from a single lieu-dit, the lieu-dit Les Chirés in Montreuil-Bellay, and it's on the east side of the Thuet River, and it's on a very gentle northeast-facing slope. In terms of soils, we have a little over a meter of a clay, sandy silt topsoil, and then we hit a bedrock of Oxfordian marl. And marl is a type of limestone that has a slightly higher proportion of clay minerals in it. And Guillaume noted to me with regards to this parcel is that it has been selected specifically for the Blanc de Noir because this is a cooler terroir. It is a later ripening site. And Cabernet Franc seems to have adapted much better for sparkling wine production as opposed to red wine production because the grapes tend to struggle a little bit to achieve both technical and phenolic maturity in these parcels. Now, from a winemaking perspective, the fruit for this wine is all from a single vintage. So this is not an assemblage across multiple vintages. And the fruit for this wine is all hand harvested, and then it is whole cluster pressed. And the primary fermentation takes place in stainless steel with selected yeast. And then after the primary fermentation, the wine is then bottled with the liqueur de tirage, and then it goes through the secondary fermentation in bottle. And then the wine is then aged on the fine lees in their underground tuffeau cellars for 24 months. And then the disgorgement takes place, and they will add a dosage of around 3 to 4 grams per liter. Then that classifies this as extra brut. So let's dive into this Blanc de Noir, Crémant de Loire from 100% Cabernet Franc. First and foremost, can we look at this color? I hope it comes through on video, but the color of this is absolutely exquisite. It is like the most beautiful of rose gold hues. So the aromatic profile is really quite lovely. It's heady, it's kind of floral in a way, it's very perfumey. And I would say that this leads with a lot of really beautiful fruits. I'm getting a mix of kind of red fruits like cherry, there's a bit of wild strawberry here, there's a little bit of a Rainier cherry note, there's a touch of cassis as well. And it is really pretty. There's a nice, delicate profile to the fruit. And also quite floral. And the florals are lovely, like pink and white flowers, a bit of rose, there's a touch of jasmine, there's a little bit of like lily of the valley. And then there's some very delicate underlying herbal undertones as well. So you do kind of sense the varietal character coming through in a really nice way. And I would say it comes through as like a little bit of chervil and a little bit of like micro basil. But yeah, the nose is just simply stunning. It's just very, very pretty, very elegant. Yeah, gorgeous. Those same fruits and florals and herbals come through in a really lovely way on the palate. And we're even getting more, of course, we're getting into some of those secondary undertones. So I was getting more fruit and florals on the nose, but on the palate, you get some of those secondary fermentation notes. Like there's a little bit of biscuit, there's like a sweet pastry note as well. Almost more like a kind of an arrowroot cookie or or even an almond croissant as well on the palate, which is really nice, mixing with those kind of fruit profiles as well as those florals. The acidity is beautifully bright, beautifully lively. There's a little bit of a zestiness there, almost like a key lime zest on the palate as well. The mousse is absolutely stunning. It's creamy. It's very, very delicate. The mousse is so, so lovely. It opens with this beautiful fruit profile, and then through the palate experience, you get that creamy mousse, and then there's a little bit of a salinity, a kind of a mineral undertone towards the finish of the wine as well. It's simply stunning. It's delicate, it's very pretty, very subtle. And yeah, it's got a lot of finesse, a lot of elegance. And I tasted this wine first, actually, when I was at the estate in October, when I was in the region. And I fell in love with this wine instantly because it was just such a beautiful expression of Cabernet Franc as a sparkling wine. And it just kind of highlighted the versatility of this grape variety, and why I just love this grape variety so much is because it can do stuff like this that is, I just think, so, so exquisite. It's simply stunning. And yeah, it makes me, I don't know, it brings me a lot of joy to taste a wine like this. And there is more and more Blanc de Noir sparkling that is coming out of the Loire. I'm seeing it also in still wine form as well, which is super interesting. And I just think it's such a, it highlights how cool this grape variety is. And when I was at the estate, I tasted through their whole range. They're making a demi-sec red sparkling wine from Cabernet Franc as well. And I've been a huge fan of Louis du Grenelle for a long time. When I was living in the United States, their Corail Saumur Brut Rosé was my house sparkling wine. I always had 6 bottles on hand in the fridge, cold, just in case of emergency. So it's an estate that I have loved for a really long time. Yeah, and it's close to the holidays, and as a way to kind of close out the year, I thought it would be really fun to showcase a sparkling wine from Cabernet Franc as a little bit of a change. And when I was tasting this earlier, I was thinking about food pairings and this delicacy that this wine has, and the way the acidity kind of pulls through, and the creaminess of the mousse and that delicate profile. This requires a little bit of thought in terms of pairings, but what I think would work really well is like a crudo, hamachi crudo, maybe with a little bit of like kind of like a either white strawberry or like a wild strawberry kind of mixed in there with some micro herbs. I think would be absolutely gorgeous. An alternative to that would be like a West Coast oyster, so something from BC or Washington State, like a cushy or a Kumamoto oyster, which tend to have a sweeter flesh, a creamier flesh. I think that with like a cucumber mignonette could be really interesting as well. But it's just such a delightful example of Cabernet Franc and a beautiful expression of Cabernet Franc as a sparkling wine. And it's definitely one I would love people to seek out, or if you can't find this, then certainly the Corail from Louis du Grenelle is a lovely wine as well that I quite like. But if you have another favorite sparkling wine of Cabernet Franc from the Loire Valley, or anywhere else in the world for that matter, I would love to know what that wine is, because I think that this is a category that needs a little bit more love. And of course, as always, I will be back again soon with another wine. Cheers.